Hey, what's up? Want to watch a car review? Hey there. Welcome to my review of my 1979 Mercedes 240D, the infamous W123. I'm going to show you the interior, give you kind of a driving impression, give you my impression of the exterior design, and tell you what it's actually like to work on. So, let's get started. Walking up to a W123, you realize just how small this car is. It's a very small little sedan. Cute, you might say. Opening the door kind of springs open for you, and you're greeted by a very warm, very 70s cabin. Stepping inside, and you realize how massive this steering wheel is. It's huge. It's about, 30-40% bigger than a normal steering wheel. In fact, I don't know if you can tell, but my legs barely even fit around it. It definitely makes it feel a lot more classy when you drive it. Next thing you notice is this big indented gauge cluster with these huge gauges and quite possibly the biggest clock in the automotive industry. Now, you may have noticed that this is a manual transmission. Attack would be cool, but no, it's way more important to know what time it is, apparently. That being said, you do know when to shift by these little orange dots. 1, 2, 3. And that indicates the fastest you can go in that gear. Which, pretty clever solution. But so overall it's very simple. And that is kind of the main theme of this vehicle, is how simple it is. Classy, elegant, simple, functional. Over here, you have your parking brake release and headlight knob, turn signal, and wiper. My car has the manual windows. And yeah, this is a very, very nice place to be. Very warm, inviting. This car has, of course, the Mercedes-Benz Tex, which is sort of a synthetic leather. And as you can see, it holds up very, very, very well with age. I was lucky to get this car, which had very, very little wear, fading, or anything. And again, back to the simplicity. You have a dial for your headlights. You have a dial for your idle speed adjustment. You have a dial for your AC, 4 switches, 5 if you include the hazard, and then 3 dials for the climate control. And that's it. Those are the only controls in this whole vehicle. This does your sunroof, rear defroster, dome, and antenna. Glove box pops open right here. Mine's a little broken, kind of hard to close. There we go. Now, if you talk about audio, well, it's no Bose system. There is a AM/FM stereo with 2 speakers, one in the corner, one in that corner, and that's about it. You could have the option of having 2 in the back, but mine did not have that. In fact, the only options this car came with appears to be the AC and the sunroof, which still works. So yeah, now that we've climbed into it, let's take it for a drive and see what it's like. All right, now driving the 240D. You get in here, seats are pretty comfortable, spring and horsehair, big old steering wheel, manual shifter, car has wheels on it, and you're ready to go. So it's a diesel, so of course you have to hold the glow plugs. Typically from the factory these came with the timer. I put in a manual switch just so I could control how long they burned for, which has come in handy during the winter. And turn the key to start. Now if the engine's cold, you do want to change the idle speed adjustment. And that's fairly easy, just turn that dial. And then after it warms up, turn it back maybe, 45 degrees or so. Yeah. Pull the parking brake. Put it in first. And we're off. Now, the best way I would describe this car is like your German engineering friend. Call him Hans. He's always there. He's always on time. Wears a nice button-up shirt every time you see him. He's dependable. He's no nonsense. He just gets the job done. Not necessarily flamboyant or quick or maybe even interesting. But he does what he's supposed to do. Now, the actual driving of this car, honestly, nothing special. It drives like a car. The transmission shifts okay. Has really long throws, and I have to double clutch it into fourth because the synchro's messed up, but that's beside the point. Steering is tight, actually. It's not bad considering the car's 40 years old. And so I'll go this way. Brakes, extremely tight. Like, I don't know if you've ever driven an old Mercedes, but they have the best braking feel out of almost any car I've ever driven. It's amazing. I honestly have no idea how they do it. Like I remember on my W123 300 SD, that car felt like it had huge brakes on it. Huge! And it was just, little 14-inch wheels with disc brakes front and back. And this car feels very similar. Very tight. In terms of power, you got 62 horsepower and like 100 pound-feet of torque, which, moves it. This car, the 240D specifically, is really built for, bopping around the city. It's not a highway cruiser. It'll do 65 okay. It's pretty happy with that. 70, 75, it's really working its ass off. Yeah, just bopping around the city like this, maybe going to a brewery or, I don't know, hanging out with your friends, whatever. It's a great car for that. It's great. I get about, mostly city driving, I get like 28 miles per gallon. You can get, I think if you were cruising maybe 60, 65, I think you could get 32, 33 out of it. But I've been really happy with the 28. I mean, it's a little 4-cylinder diesel, but yeah, it's great. It's a great little car. Turns heads, I get a lot of compliments on it. It's small, great turning radius, so it's easy to park, easy to maneuver. It's a fantastic little car for just bopping around the city in. And that's what you get with an old W123 like this. You get reliability, you get style, and you get efficiency, which that's a pretty good set of attributes, I think. Yeah, I don't know why the fourth gear synchro decided to go out. Seems kind of weird, but whatever. What else can I talk about? Visibility, fantastic. I mean, you can probably see there's just huge windows everywhere. It's a really easy car to reverse in, where all the corners are, because it's relatively rectangular. Yeah. This car specifically has a big crack in the windshield. And I've been really debating whether I want to replace it or not. I think it's really kind of cool because it's the original windshield that was made in West Germany. And it has a little sticker right there that says that, and I think that's kind of cool. But, whatever. What else? Heater works great. AC doesn't work. The bearing on the AC compressor went out, so I need to fix that at some point. So until then, I just took the whole compressor out to save weight, so I can get the most out of my 62 horsepower. But if you've never driven one of these old Mercedes, you really need to. It's just so solid. It feels like just a chunk of steel wrapped in nice leather. I don't know. It feels so well put together. And after all these years, this car is, over 40 years old. There's no creaks, no rattles. Everything works great. Sunroof, the, climate control, the radio, all the gauges. Clock still works. In fact, funny story about the clock. The clock you can actually hear it ticking. So it's an old analog. And that's handy for your glow plugs because you can actually time it with the seconds. What else? This is probably how I would spec my 240D, honestly. The only thing I would have done differently is do a manual sunroof. Wouldn't have gone electric. But manual windows, manual sunroof, manual transmission. That's it. That's all you need, really. And this car will last you, probably it will outlast you, in fact. W123s will still be on the road, I think, long after we're all dead. Riding in style. So, now that I've given you driving impressions, let's go through the mechanics of it. Alright, now moving on to the mechanics of this car. Here's the engine. 4 cylinders, diesel, no ignition system. As long as you got compression, air, fuel, you're good to go. Air filters right there, 2 fuel filters right there, oil filter right there. That's about all you really need to replace regularly. Belt, everything on the belt's really easy to get to. Alternator, water pump, power steering pump, and vacuum pump. An interesting demonstration for you, and just how simple this engine is. Let's take a trip over to Sesame Street real quick.
Ah, hello! It is me, Count Dracula. Let us count the engine wires. Ah, yes, here we are. The Mercedes diesel. So, let us see here. We have a 1 wire. We have a 2, a 3, a 4 engine wires. We have 3 at the alternator. And we have 5 at the starter. So 5, 3, 4. That gives us 12. 12 engine wires. Well, thank you, Count. That was very fascinating. Yeah, so very simple engine. Very easy to fix. Since I've owned it, I've done the alternator, the vacuum pump gasket, air filter, fuel system at the rear, the, wow, okay, birds. The flex discs, the fuel screen, the transmission fluid, the differential fluid, the transmission bushings, the brakes, and it's all been extremely easy. Really, everything except the driver's side engine mount, nothing special. Pretty much anybody can do it. And that's what really defines this car, is that simplicity, that mechanical reliability, that ease of maintenance. Just, it's a well-built vehicle.
Now, moving on to the exterior design of the W123, you notice again, simplicity reigns supreme here. You have 2 fog lights, 2 headlights, turn signals, a big chrome grille. Little, simple 14-inch wheels with aluminum hubcaps, which, by the way, I think are the best looking hubcaps probably ever made. You have a single line, 2 horizontal lines really, running down the side of the whole vehicle. And then you have the overall shape of the A and C pillars. Larger C pillar. And you can also notice how symmetrical the car is. The hood's a little bit longer, and you can see that dash to axle ratios, it exists. It's pretty prominent. But overall, it looks like a nice sedan. You have chrome brightwork pretty much everywhere, running all along it, and of course up on the pillars. You'll notice mine does not have a side view mirror. That was in fact an option in 1979. And again, more chrome throughout the whole exterior of the car. There's a lot of horizontal lines, but not, you notice, any rectangles necessarily. It's all a bit rounded off. Nothing's too edgy, too sporty. It's just a nice, classy sedan. And it looks great in any atmosphere. Downtown, Africa, the desert, wherever. It just looks like it belongs, and there's really not too many vehicles like that. It's a beautiful car. So, in conclusion, would I recommend buying a W123? 240D, 300D, 300TD, whatever? Definitely. There really is no other car like it. This car, in some ways, almost defined the automobile for a long time, and it made a name for Mercedes-Benz. To give you an idea of what this car was like when it first came out, used vehicles sold for more than new ones did. Factory workers at Mercedes got first dibs, and people would buy them from the workers for more than they actually bought it from Mercedes. That's how much people wanted these cars. And in fact, in the 10 years this car was made, from 1976 to 1986, they made 2.7 million vehicles, which is a lot, considering this is like a hand-built luxury car, right? To put that in perspective, Honda sold 2.8 million Civics from 2010 to 2018. And that's with the whole, Honda automation process. So, and that's part of the reason you see so many of these on the road, is because there were a lot of them made. They are very reliable, as long as you maintain them. And also to give you a perspective of what else was out there, the most popular car in 1979 was an Oldsmobile Cutlass. Now, you could get a Cutlass for about $7,000 back in 1979. These are around $17,000. That equates to about $63,000 in today's money. And people still bought them. And they bought a lot of them. And, to be fair, this was in the era of the fuel crisis, so an efficient diesel, they got 30 miles per gallon, had style, room for a whole family. It was a pretty tempting bargain. So, this car made history, and it makes an impression today. And if you buy one, I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.